Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to all you prosers out there. This is Jeff Stewart, the founder of Prose, well, one of them, and the voice today of your newsletter. We might be doing this instead of the actual newsletter more often anyway. For all you prosers out there, I really love the fact that the word proser is now a thing, and all of you writers on the app and readers made it possible. The word proser, it might even solve the pronoun controversies going on, right? So, how do you identify? I'm a proser. Boom. Who can even come back on that? No one. Well, anyway, that was kind of unreasonable. Having my coffee, it is a beautiful day here in the States, and I wanted to do this because I felt there's such a connection lost right now. And back with the advent of texting and all those things in technology and how fast we can communicate and how fast we can connect and how mass connected we are, there's a certain type of, unless you're reading writers, literature, poetry, short stories, whatever genre you dig, the thing that's going to happen is, ever text somebody and then you're trying to be funny, you're trying to be dark, or you're trying to be even romantic in some cases, and it just comes out goofy, misconstrued, not the way you meant it. To them, you were fine, but they received it kind of garbled. Emotionally, they didn't understand your aim, and it happens. So today we're dipping our toe in the water with trying to figure out a good way to come across as, I'll frame it like this. Recently, one of my mentors was talking to me about being your authentic self. I have fallen into the throes of audiobooks and narration and VO. That bug bit me about 1.5 years ago, and now I'm sitting in a foamed-in studio with a nice microphone, and it's really also made what I do, my writing, it's actually made it more fresh, kind of like how ebooks did that when they were accepted finally, and kind of how a computer screen and a quiet keyboard usurped the typewriter, the electric, the manual. But what I found out was, after all the resistance and the getting out of your own way goes with all those things, what I learned was it wasn't really, you could have a crayon and construction paper. It's going to come out how you feel, and you're going to write what's in your mind. Ultimately, it's not about the device. And I'm starting to realize that more and more as time goes on. So the idea for me was to keep the form fresh. And that's what audio has done for me. And back to that, and I think this applies to writing. This is why the whole audio message came to me today, was the law of diminishing return. Away from neuroses or OCD or perfectionism, most of us have a lot of that are creative. Okay, fair enough. But when is something good enough? When is something great enough? They're really, when it comes to your own work, the diminishing return between good and great is almost a non-existent blur to you. And what you think is good or great, that's in your head. As long as you're creating purely and you're being true to your work, it's going to be fucking great. It's going to be stellar. I want you to remember that. I had to learn that. And so, going back to that, to flip that coin over, right? You have to have the right tools. You just do. You can't write without a pad or a screen or a keyboard or a pencil or a pen. You can't text without, a phone. So my point is, you have to come across with the right tools. So in my time doing this, audio, by the way, I ended up reaching out to a professional. Finally, I had the guts to say, you know what? You do Pro VO presets, which are settings for your voiceovers, in case you were uninformed like I was. And you wanted to take your audio, or you want to take your work, and just say your work, forget audio, forget the forum. You wanted to take your work, right, to a level of just quality. I would listen to Audible and go, wow, why is that audiobook so much louder than my recordings? Why is this audio? Why is her voice or his voice so much more commanding and boomy? It's not the cadence, it's not the pitch, it's not any of that. It's just the audio is so much cleaner and it's easier, it's more pleasing, it's less fatiguing on the ears. So after doing my homework for a long time, I found probably, in my opinion, one of the best audio engineers walking the earth. And I emailed him. I sent him a sample. He sent me a sample back. And it was my voice. And in fact, you're hearing the preset right now. And it was just a very few simple modifications he did. But his years of experience put them in the right places. Now, I've taken many of EQ classes, his being the primary one. But on YouTube, I've watched all the beautifully free, and essential to a starving artist, I guess you would call it, to learn how to do your own work, do it yourself, right? But in some cases, even with all the EQ training in the world, you're not going to beat the ear of a pro audio engineer. You're just not going to. So I bit the bullet, bit my insecurities and said, hey, here's how I sound. Can you make me sound better? Because his tagline is, let's make your voice sound better. And he did. And the subtleties he applied in the right places, pulling down this frequency, that frequency, essentially I'm trying to parallel this to editing your written words. And so it's almost the same. Don't overdo it and don't underdo it. Just get that sweet spot, sweeten it, as they say in audio, sweeten the track. And so, if you're interested in checking him out, just go to lennyb.com. Really cool guy. And what he does for aspiring voiceover artists or professional voiceover artists, from audiobook narrators to, pro VO spots, like in a world, people like him make their audio sound good. So, what I'm trying to say here is there is a law of diminishing return. Is your computer good enough? I'm sure it is. Is your recording equipment good enough? Yes. What you have to worry about, and one thing that I learned from this guy was do the work. Read your work with passion. Read your work with authenticity, your authentic self. Be who you are. You are the voice. You are your work. Your personality is what makes you you, and that's what people want. Now more than ever, they want to have the reality. They want to have the realness, the grit, the rawness. Today, when everything's so filtered and manufactured, and it's a race for acquiring likes and followers and getting paid. It's insane. But the cool part about writing, it's always going to be that. It's never going to change. They're never going to train AI to write a passionate novel. No matter how they interpret, analyze, store information, nobody will ever be able to write a poem or a novel or a story or read a story like a human being. It'll never happen. So, all this being said, I wanted to send this out to you guys and say, be your authentic selves. And what you have right now is good enough. In fact, it's great. And you can hit me up on the Prose profile, just drop me a DM. I'd love to read it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I want to see your work on that screen. And a lot of us need to see it.